annualizing 2%. The year-over-year CPI up 3.7%. That matches the 3.7% from the prior month, but now you got 2 months back-to-back of 3.7 in an upward trend. How is that making progress to 2%? You're not making any progress. Ex-food and energy, this so-called core, was up 0.3% on the month. It was up 0.3% last month. That's not getting any better. And again, if you have 3.3% every month, you're nowhere near 2%. In fact, the year-over-year core was up 4.1. Yes, a little bit less than the 4.3 from the prior month, but back-to-back months above 4, that's double the so-called target. The Fed is nowhere near achieving this goal. You've got all these people, celebrating this premature victory. Look, the Fed is pretty much out of ammo. We got more confirmation from FOMC members that were talking this week that the Fed is basically done with rate hikes. I mean, maybe there's one more 25 basis point hike coming, but maybe not at all. A lot of people now think that that's it. Well, if the Fed is done hiking rates, how's it going to stop inflation from getting worse? It's already moved rates from 0 to 5, 5.25, 5.5. And the inflation problem hasn't gone away. We're still way above 2% despite all those rate hikes. And what's the Fed going to do if after we kind of bottom out at this 3-4% level, we start going back up to 9%? What are they going to do? Are they going to raise another 500 basis points? Are they going to bring rates up to 10%? I don't think so, but that's what the market would require. But they're not going to do that. They're pretty much out of ammo, right? And so when the markets digest this, a $66, $63 day in gold, that's going to be a small move compared to what's going to happen when investors figure it out. And more importantly, the bond market is going to get clobbered. It's not going to matter about this so-called safe haven because of the Middle East. Bonds are a risk asset. They're not risk off. They are nothing but risk because you have inflation risk. Forget about default risk. Inflation is the real risk because that's how the government defaults. That's how a sovereign nation that borrows in its own currency defaults. It defaults through inflation. And when the national debt is spiraling out of control, out of curiosity, let me bring up the national debt clock and see what's going on right now. I mean, you never know. This thing just can explode at any moment. I doubt we're at 34 trillion yet, but we'll be there shortly. We're at $33.554 trillion. So probably by 2 weeks from now, I'm sure we'll be over 34 trillion in the national debt.
Good mid-afternoon, 2:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, October 16th, 2023. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please make sure to hit that like button if you're tuning into the Midday Market Report. Sean, welcome in from the great state of Maine. Infamous, good afternoon. Aussie, welcome. I'm doing good, my friend. Jose, watch, recycle, repeat. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jeffrey, true, good afternoon. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Loving these regular updates, Aussie. Thank you for that. Lee, good afternoon, yo. Time, glad to get back to your honest videos. Love them all. Lee, UK. Appreciate that, Lee. Yes, hit that like button. And thank you for doing that, Aussie. I appreciate it. KB, welcome in. Not really a surprise. We were talking about how we had to retest the drop point. So I think it's standard operating procedure. We'll go through everything from the Dow all the way through our favorite cryptos. Miss Vicky, good afternoon, love. Thank you for tuning in. Wow, we have a great group in here this afternoon. Sean, welcome in. Michael, good afternoon. JW, good afternoon, mate. Thank you for tuning in. I hope your day started off blessed. Bill, welcome back in. Boca, Jorge, welcome. Den Do It, good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for the excitement in the Midday Market Report today. I do think it's an exciting day in the market. I do think we've been shown a big fake out here in a lot of ways, but we'll go over this. Den Do It, good afternoon. Boca Vida, welcome. I love that name. So the Dow, we've got one of two things that can happen here. We came up to the pivot level now, and are we gonna, this is why I say these can be big fake outs, or this is where you can materialize something if it's going to be more. So that's why it's very important to watch these moves. I know today, this is not really nothing. Honestly, today it's a nothing burger for the Dow. The only thing is we know we have the death cross here. So last week we talked about the 200-day at 33,841. So this 33,900 is that big pivot layer. Could we get over it and hold? Well, today let's take it down into a smaller time frame, because we know we have not invalidated yet the death cross. So in the 2-hour time frame, we've come up to the 200-day. On a fake out, this is usually where you'll cap any upside, unless you decide to go to the 4-hour time frame. This would be your first sign of rejection at the 200-day and the 2-hour. This is just standard operating procedure. Now we do have a mini, what looks like could be an inverted head and shoulders, which wouldn't be so standard, and we could have a pattern reversal, and it would bring us back up to like 34,600. So can this, and that's why I don't like to make predictions, and I'm not biased to the pattern. I let the charts on a daily basis show me what's going on. So is this to be believed that we're going to use this as an inverted head and shoulders? If we are, we would have to break this, then come up and use this as support on the 200. Sometimes I just got to take a look to see what the car is, because there's some beautiful cars. I mean, when you hear those sounds, nothing gets you feeling like the great state of Michigan in the Motor City, the past, how it used to be the Motor City when you hear cars like that. That's old school. You don't hear that anymore in the new cars. So appreciate it when you hear that in the background. You really don't hear that as often anymore in the U.S. At least not in Michigan. So 34,104 in the 200-day. So that's where it lines up perfectly with where we target. I mean, look at that. It has to, because that's the 200-day. So if it's going to play this out, you'd be looking at a retest of the 200-day in the 4-hour time frame, and we would be trending up to about 34,200. Did it really delete the Dow? I love it. Guys, I love it. Don't you love TradingView? I see some people who are influencers, they get so mad, and they'll like throw their stuff over it. I laugh. On a daily basis, if you watch TradingView, if I was meant to tell everybody an honest opinion of TradingView, I always say, it's the best we've got, but man, I don't know why on God's green earth it would delete what you have on here. It makes no sense, but oh, what is this? I put the wrong thing on here. Look at that. So let's see. God, they have it so I don't want this. I hate how it shows the actual stuff. Like, why would I want this? Because it keeps showing me Dow Inc. I don't want Dow Inc. I don't want the Dow Inc. But we get the idea with the Dow. We got the idea with the Dow. We know what's going on. I know what's going on. I know you guys know what's going on because you're watching on a daily basis. I don't know if TradingView knows what's going on, but at least for now, and I don't know if anybody can comment, I don't know of another platform that does it like this. So as of right now, they've got a monopoly on the market. But maybe I should go into one day trying to create my own app like this. This would be invaluable. So who the heck knows what chart I was on before? What chart was I using before if this isn't the chart? Interesting. This is why it makes it interesting when my charts come off. I'll look for it after. We've already done the Dow, but you get the picture. 34,200. 41 people in here. Thank you so much. 33 likes. That's an incredible ratio already. If you're tuning in, please make sure to hit that like button, or share this far and wide as well on social media. Michigan football taking care of business. They are kicking it right now. I'd say arguably they look like the best team in the nation, but I won't ever say that until they win a playoff game, because Georgia's the back-to-back champion, and Michigan hasn't won a title since '97, and they seem to not be able to, you know, they get to the playoff, and then even TCU beats us. So I reserve my right to say something until we do something. How about that? And the Big Ten championships are great. No, not tested at all. Dean, welcome in. You're gonna look at the, fuck, I didn't see the rest of that. I'll continue reading the comments as I can. The DXY is still reversed. We have not broken up. We came back down. So now if this is a reversal and we continue to come down, you can expect a retest double bottom somehow, somewhere around here. So I just didn't quote it, but that's how it would play if it did come down instead of breaking back to the top side. But this could just be an inverted head and shoulders being formed. So we'll just see how this plays out. But if you get a rejection here, right now you're getting rejection from the rising channel on the DXY, which means 106.59 right now, that pivot point is being rejected upon. I still say this looks more bull flaggy than not, and I think this could be a corrective phase, allowing for like risk assets and such to maybe take a little bounce, and then this is just going to go boom. And I think that's what speaks. I think this is going to actually bounce up. If you're asking me my personal expectation here, I understand it's on the bottom side of the rising channel, and a lot of people might be tempted to get into metals even more than they already are and take a bigger position. I'm reserving the right for my monthly purchases for the last 3 months now, or 4 months, until the DXY stops going up, because I know there's going to be a massive grab that likely on silver, and we'll get to it. It very well could be at 18 bucks. For gold, it very well could be at about $1,714. Now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but or $1,744. We'll go on the chart. But that's about a $150 move that very well could happen. Maybe not that much, because gold's not up. Well, we'll take a look. So I'm reserving the right to do certain things right now. But I've been buying since 2017. If you're just buying today, you better get your ass on board, because they're spectacular prices. And the ratio on the silver to gold, on the gold silver ratio, is incredibly high. Incredibly high. Well over 84. Well, maybe not well over, but it's around 84. So this is what we're looking at for the DXY. Does that make sense? Sometimes I wonder if I babble and anybody actually understands. But this is what I see. So I think this is ultimately, unless we were to break in the daily, this is just my opinion. The daily, first of all, we could come down here, but until we break that at 105.95, but ultimately you could have an overtest, like we talked about down here to 105.52. It's not much farther, but until we ultimately break the 200-day and the 4-hourly, and this is where the technical traders hide out, and this is where money hides. And the technical trader here could be other governments, other citizens in other countries that are hiding in the US dollar for the ratio return. Once you lose certain things, they're going to start dumping it. And I believe there's going to be a correlation going into January 24 where we need a parabolic spike going into the end of the year so that we can have this massive, massive downturn when all these governments that are part of the BRICS nations are able to sell their U.S. government bonds, and they're able to legally get out of the U.S. dollar to buy crude oil, to buy the petro. But they all have to wait by agreement until January 1. Why did they do that? I think they want to stick it to us at one time and make it an overwhelming collapse. I mean, is it any coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, that they're getting rid of all the panda bears in the USA, and they've had an agreement since 1972, and by the end of 24, they all got to be gone? I think it's because it's not viable money-wise. I don't think they care any other reason besides it's going to cost too much to keep sending them over here. I mean, I look into silly things like that. Can you believe that? The Panda Accord. And that's not a rumor. So, Tom, if I miss your lives, I always watch reruns, never miss a video, miss you. Oh, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Holy smokes, what the hell just happened here? Ed, in the biggest run ever on the Midday Market Report, we have 2 people joining Tom's Army in the same live. Is this for real? Ed, welcome to Tom's Army for month 1. in Tom's Army, and I know that because you have me being abducted by aliens as your month 1 emoji badge. Oh, and it changes every single month until you become a 2-year subscriber when you get the 589 badge, which is 0.589, mind you. When everybody said it would be $589 at the end of 2023, I said, I think it's going to be 0.589, and it just so happens to align with my first 2-year badges. Ron, thank you so much, Ron King, as well, for joining Tom's Army. Both of you with the month 1 badge of me being abducted by aliens, and Ron and Ed. That's my face superimposed on there. The person who made it that I met, girl who was watching me, wanted to do something, and she superimposed my face on there and made that drawing. It's awesome. If you guys ever need, like, she does like homemade crocheting. It's Golden Creations, but I don't have a link. I don't know. That's just her name. I haven't even seen her in a long time, but I just remember that off the top of my head. So I'm looking for that not rejection. I'm looking for a fake out here. And ultimately, I really think we have eyes that come up here. Call me crazy, but I hold the right to be reserved because I'm not making predictions. But my heart tells me we're coming up to the top of the formation here. It's a massive formation. When I say massive, it's massive. And I didn't even go, I mean, you got to go all the way back to form this pattern. If you do it the way I did, it goes all the way back to 1977. It goes back to 1978 in November. So, what do I think is going to happen with the dollar? I think we're on a catastrophic decline here. And I think I've got it mapped out the best you could for what's about to happen. And honestly, we could come higher. I gave it the benefit of the doubt here. I don't know if I so much want to give it the benefit of the doubt anymore, because I want to see where the maximum top hype is. So let's see if we had a parabolic run, because that's an overreach. That's an overreach from where we had it, but that's new. That's actually a run up that we could use. I just didn't decide to use it from the top. But if you're using it from the top, there's like a 3D look. If you want to actually come to the overextension, come up here, because I just went to the technical targets. This is actually, we could come up to 112 spot 196. So let's move this up. 112 spot 196. And this would be very accurate from 1978. This is going back to 1978. What do you think is going to happen on this formation? This is a descending structure. These aren't bullish. This is going to likely, it's going to get rejected, and it already has. That's why I have the underneath move. So it got rejected here, and now this is the first layer. It can get rejected here at 109.24 before it comes up, or 109.07. Ron, thanks, Miss Vicky. Glad to be a part of town. Hey, I appreciate that. It went through? All right. Sorry, guys. We did our taxes on extension, and the federals got approved. Now, for anybody trading crypto, and for anybody who doesn't think you have to pay taxes, I'm just going to tell you right now, 2021 we thought was bad when we had 12,000 in profits in crypto. 2022 was the worst. We had to pay taxes on $38,000 on crypto. It was not cool. So, you know, it basically took our entire return and then some. So we owed, between the two of us, about $4,000. But if it wasn't for crypto, we would have got a nice healthy return. But you know, it is what it is. So, you know, just pay your crypto taxes. Just pay them. Don't try to get fancy. But anyhow, does that make sense with the DXY? Does that make sense? We've got the US 10-year up 1.99% to 4.7%. You can't tax a currency, can you? What do you mean? I mean, if you're trading like the USDT or like a stable coin, no, you certainly can. But if you just are within like the US dollar and you just keep transferring the dollar from exchange, no. You have to have some kind of significant gain or some kind of gain. for it to warrant a hit on your return. If you're just losing, still file it, because you can write off up to $3,500 a year and it carries over. So don't just think because you're losing you don't have to claim it. I would still claim it, and it adds to your pool. Unfortunately, I have no pool to draw from. I have a big there's no pool. They're drawing from my pool. So with the U.S. government bonds, I think we're at 58% chance to come up to that 5.25. We could get stopped at 5.07, but I think it would come up a little bit higher. No problem, O. Johnson. That's why I'm here. So that's the government bond. I still think we have a little bit of a rally to have. I do. And just we have a golden cross here in the monthly. I mean, can we really discount this monthly golden cross? Wait a minute, is that the monthly? I hope that's the monthly. Yeah, I was gonna say that better be the monthly. Yeah. Can we discount that? Oh, well, I mean, you're trading though, so that's why I keep saying, try to get away from the inside of a year trading. That's why you don't see me futures trading as often. That a lot of that problem was from trades I made inside of a year. So would you rather be taxed at 35% or 15%? It would have made a huge difference on the crypto gains I had to pay on at 38,000. So I'm just telling you, 38,000 at 35% or 38,000 at 15%. You do the math. How much could I have saved myself if I went to a better philosophy like I've adopted in all of 23? Just think about that for a second. I paid 35, or me and Julie paid 35 on our crypto tax for trading everything within a year. If we would have held it for over a year, it would have only been 15%. So on 38,000, can somebody do the math? What's the difference on 38,000? Here, I'll do it myself. So when I try to make a point to everybody, I'll do this from now on. On 38,000, ready? 38,000, and this is the point. We had to do it at a 0.35% tax bracket because that's what they charge at 35% for capital gains inside of a year. That's 13,300 of taxable income they tax us now. They forced us to pay 13,300 in taxes on crypto. Now, had I have waited for outside of 1 year, it would have only been $5,700. So 5,700, I mean, you guys do the math. Is that a big difference? So 13,300 by selling it within a year on 38,000 in profits, or 5,700 if I waited a year. Does that start to put it in perspective? So I cost myself $7,000. How about that? How about them apples? I cost myself 4 ounces of gold by selling inside of a year, but they tell you it don't matter. Does that put it in perspective for everybody, the importance of what I'm trying to teach? I'm all for you making all the money in the world, but in the future, I'm going to keep that $7,700, no questions asked, because I won't be paying it, because I won't be selling inside of a year, period. I did fantastic. In a down year in crypto, to have 38,000 in profit, it's incredible. I'm not complaining. Believe me. But let me tell you, to pay 13,300 of it back and really only having 25 grand in profit when I could have had 32 or 33, I should say. I mean, that's a big difference. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Crude oil down 1.24% at $86.59. And I'm going to start pushing that point home now that I know the new numbers on the taxes that we paid up compared to what we could have. It's huge. Yep, that's what I'm saying. So I'm not selling anything anymore because I'm just using it as a currency. So just think about that. Just wait, and then you use it as a form of payment in the future instead of just giving them your money. You know? Profits are profits, absolutely. They are. And they mostly went towards precious metals, let me tell you. Because my crypto portfolio has about, it's worth about 10,000, but it's got about 7,000 now of my money. So out of that 25, only 8,000 has made its way on the exchanges, and 17,000 has made its way at one time or another into some kind of precious metals, or it's being saved for another purchase of precious metals, but it's probably already been bought in precious metals, let's just say. So even if you haven't, if you haven't sold, you don't pay taxes till the next year if you sell. If you never sell, you never pay taxes. This is what I try to push the point home. Most of the corporations who have a bunch of different stocks, they will keep them year on end. They don't care if it's going up. They don't care if it's going down. But they look at their tax return. Are they owed a return? Let's just say they have a huge return coming. They look and they say, which ones of these do I have huge profits on that I can sell? And now my return is less. So they'll sell those. And then on January 1st or 2nd, they'll rebuy the stock back, whether it's at a loss or a gain. They don't care. They'll just reuse that same money. Remember, they're already rich. They don't need the money. They're just trying to incentivize their taxes. Now, on the other end, let's just say they owe a bunch of taxes. They owe 10 grand. They owe 10 grand. Well, that's only because they're looking at their taxes and maybe it's based on what they haven't sold. So they're looking at it before the deadline and they're like, oh shit, you know what? If I sell this stock at the end of 22, instead of being down or owing the government 10 grand on profits, I have this huge one I can sell that's down 15 grand. Now, technically I'm down 5 grand and it's a write-off in taxes. So they'll sell it and then on January 1, they'll rebuy it back. Tax harvesting, thank you very much. Ooh. I like that. I like that suggestion. I'll look into it, and when I have, when I'm further adapted to it, I will definitely. Will you send me an email? George, I'm going to type my email. Will you send me an email with exactly what you just said so I don't forget? Wait a minute. Let me type this. See, this is such an informative live. Let me tell you guys, I love doing just the XRP lives and stuff, but I think these are starting to catch on. George, send me an email at stroutrugali@gmail.com with that information. Thank you for the suggestion. I greatly appreciate that. Any suggestions are welcome when it comes to it. I am not a tax expert, but what I do know is that until I know further ado and how to do it better on different exchanges so I don't have to pay the hit, yeah. So if you've been holding XRP for over a year and then sell, oh yes. So I had 38,000 in profit in 22. I had to pay at a 35% clip because everything was sold inside of a year. It cost me 13,300 in taxes. I looked it up and we just did it on a 15% basis. If I sold everything outside of a year, it would have only cost me, and it makes me like $7,200. Not even. What was it? How much did it cost me? Let me look it back up. 38,000. It would have only cost me 5,700 in taxes compared to 13,300 on gains of 38,000 plus. It's like 38,800. So I mean that's a big difference. So yeah. But if you never sell, you don't have to pay the taxes. That's the other thing. But, there's little things we can start to learn here with each other. So, I'm going to teach you everything I know. So, yeah, I would have paid over 7,000 less in my taxes on crypto if I would have just held it for one more, outside of a year. That is amazing news, isn't it, MK? I mean, once you understand, you can start to take advantage like the big guys do. All I'm trying to do is, as I'm going from a little fry, because, now that 38,000 is on top of what me and Julie earned, so now if we can keep increasing that, it won't happen in this year. I didn't sell anything except one sale, but it's not going to be 38,000, I hope. There was a few in the beginning of the year. Hopefully I didn't kill myself in the beginning of the year, but we'll see next year. But, that's why at least the last 6 months, it's been the new adoption of how we're doing it. So everybody knows who's been following. So crude oil, $93.73. We're going to get there. It's a matter of do we break up and then break over for the 85% chance of hitting this $109. I still think it could come higher, but I know it's a big chance of coming up there. We're just completing a second tier cup and handle here. I've already identified it right here for both tiers. I know this is a very long update and we got to get through this now. But yeah, these are the two tiers, and I expect us to bounce up. We could come as low as 77 on an overextension. I just am not sure that can happen unless there's a lot of manipulation. Gold silver ratio at about 85, flat on the day. Beautiful time to buy silver. Looks like it's in a nice consolidation phase. Still hasn't finished off this golden cross completely, it doesn't look like, but 87.46 is the pivot point. I do expect another bounce up. If you do see it dive below about, what did we say yesterday, 82 bucks or 82, could be an issue, especially if we come back below 80.889. But right now it's a beautiful time to buy silver if you haven't gotten in. It's very volatile, and if we can get past 87.46, we're coming up to 91.9, so it'll continue to increase the ratio. We've got gold down 13 bucks on the day to 19.19. I don't think that's any surprise to anybody here. We got to see how this is going to react. We really do. There's no guarantee that it doesn't break down, but this would have been the overrise right here. This would have been the overextension on a fake out to the downside from the US dollar. So if the US dollar breaks down, I expect gold to come down. But if we retake this, remember, we still have it marked if we have a breakup. That's all I keep saying. There is no guarantee we break down. So if you haven't bought yet, you have to do it in a nominal way. If this does break up, our technical target's about 2,000 bucks. It's about 2,000 bucks. Huh? Oh. Hold on, guys. I gotta feed this kitty real quick. Mickey. Alright. I have shown mercy on that kitty because somebody abused that cat. It's an older cat, but somebody burned its eye, it looks like, with a cigarette and cut a piece of its ear off and stuff. So we built a house back here in the back of our yard, so now it kind of lives in it. So, but then it wants food, so you gotta feed it. So that's just what we're looking at here. And if the US dollar, this is all based, if the US dollar, because now we're in a little rising channel here up to resistance, if the US dollar spikes parabolically again, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. It's going to end up coming right back down. B2 gold at $3.20, pretty flat. It is on the top side of this formation. We just got to be careful because it's finished this big recovery, this big cup and handle. It's at a big rejection point. I still think if the US dollar does what it does, this isn't a bigger than not bear flag, and this is coming up for a rejection. There is a chance that it can come up to probably $3.38, I believe it was. So we'll see. But I still think this is going to follow in line, and you can see how this is starting to form a channel here to the top side. So, you know, we got to pay attention to that. So if you're watching this, just pay attention. You know, it's basically a channel. I know it's out of whack, but that's what it's forming. So, and then silver. Silver's still on the top side here. And this is all comes back to, are we actually going to break down or up? You know, it depends. Silver, for all we know, silver could come way back up here to $23.37 area and never come back down. It isn't looking like a channel forming, some kind of wedge or something's forming here, but we're at this, we got a little bull flag here, and if this breaks out, we should come up here somewhere. So there's no guarantee this just comes down. With everything that's going on, gold and silver is due for a big run. So even though some of it's pointing down, oh, you get taxed when you sell your physical silver and gold. I don't sell it though. I've never sold anything. I'm not selling it. This isn't, if you're see, the thing with gold and silver is it's a hedge against what happens to the dollar. So you start to turn your, so then it's like you don't even have money, but you have money. You just don't think you have money because you've been trained in the terms of money being currency that's in your bank account until you realize you actually have money and not currency. So there's no reason to sell it. It's money. Now, in the future, you have to pay something, but it won't be 35%. I think that's the biggest thing people forget. Put it in perspective, if you become a crypto millionaire and you make $1 million in profit, if you sell it all within a year, you have to pay $350,000 in taxes, leaving you $650,000 in profit. If you hold it for just outside of a year, you have to pay $150,000 in taxes, and you get to keep $850,000, which means you would have an extra $200,000 on every million you earn by using that philosophy. Does that put it in perspective? Why people trade the way they do? Total crypto market cap is up 3.07% to 1.07 trillion. Had a massive rally up to 1.113. We talked about at the end of the week how we thought it was going to have to come back and retest. We just didn't think it had enough strength to come all the way up there. We pointed to it, but can it really come up to 1141? Probably not. I still don't think it had enough strength. I think it was just coming to fill this cup and handle like we talked about last week. But we'll see, because that was a major breakdown. Now it almost looks bear flaggy. That's an incredible breakdown. Like a fake influx of money on the false news of a Bitcoin ETF approval. And then BlackRock coming out saying this is all horseshit what's happening today. I think that's what happened. Bitcoin's up 1286 to 28,460 or 4.73%, but that's not the story. That is not the story. The bigger story is how this essentially just probably liquidated all the shorts just to go short again. This is the problem when you go short or long. I told everybody, sure, you can make fantastic gains and have fantastic calls. That's a 4.89% drop from the top today. So sure, it's cut in half. Now is it retesting the breakout point, or is this going to put in a bear flag? There's a lot to be desired there. This looks very bearish after that. That doesn't look good. You don't ever want to see a breakdown just like that in a wick. You want to see the step formation. Like, that's a big breakdown on a wick-to-wick basis. Like, what the hell was actually going on? Is this actually a liquidation-like event? Probably. That liquidated every short that was in there. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. In a 5-minute span, if you had a beautiful short on Bitcoin, let's say you bought in at 27,700. I mean, it was a 7.8% wick in a 10-minute span, roughly, or 20-minute span. So anything over a 10x is gone. It might only be 78%, but I guarantee somewhere it says that's around the liquidation price, which is always a slap in the face to new futures traders. If you don't understand that, it doesn't even have to go down 100% on a 10x trade. It don't even have to go down the whole 10%. By loaning them the money, you give them the right to sell it and keep about 30% once it, or 22% when it hits. So, I mean, that's a huge. Then you go short. You can't catch it on that wick, likely. So you start catching it down here. Well, now it's going to come back up here and fill that gap. Now anybody going short before that is done. Anybody going long is probably done from the drop before that. But this is how they play it. Now it's starting to form what looks like could be some kind of, who knows. This doesn't look great to me. This looks like a big setup. Classic rug pull indeed, Miss Vicky. We'll see. We'll see, because it still looks awful in the daily. Same thing with XRP. I told everybody going short, just be careful, because you might know that it's a great spot to go short at 49. Or some people were saying at the 4.8. A lot of people went short at this level when it came down here and hit this 4.9. All I said was be careful. A lot of people went short in this area when we first got rejected, and they caught this high top and they were very happy. So they went from, on a 10x trade, they were up about 13% letting it ride, because why wouldn't you? And all of a sudden, at the top, they're just getting hammered. And no matter, that's a 30% loss at the top, and who's sitting through that whole thing? Imagine if you're on a 20% or 20x. But, you know, the majority of the ones who watch me are on 50x. So you're not surviving these. Ghost, what are you doing? Don't be mean. Are you serious, Ghost? Don't be mean to that kitty. My cat's being mean to that cat. She's never mean to it. She was just mean to it. I'm disappointed in you, Ghost. But yeah, that's what we're looking at in XRP. We've come up with that death cross. Although it's not valid anymore, and as far as the where the price action is, it still hasn't reversed. Nothing's changed. All we are is back above the 20-day. At least we were, but now we've broken back down. So I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Does this look overly bullish to me? No, it doesn't. In the 4-hourly, does it look overly bullish? Actually, no, it looks quite the opposite. That's a bearish dragonfly. And yeah, a lot of people say dragonflies are good, but not when it doesn't break the old high. This is bearish, in my opinion. If we have a daily close and it does close under that 494, look out below. After a rally like that, not to close the daily above 494 would be detrimental. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you got anything out of this, please make sure to hit that like button. Consider sharing this far and wide, as we have 60 likes. I really appreciate that. If you appreciate my work, please consider joining Tom's Army as a way to pay it forward for the time I put in. You can always send a YouTube super chat. But today we are extremely blessed because we had 2 people join Tom's Army. Like, it's incredible. And that was during the live. So I thank the new members of Tom's Army. Hopefully this kind of update found you all well and you were able to learn something with the tax implications as well. And you can learn at my expense. You know, maybe we can gain a better understanding of how to put more money in our pocket and, you know, give less to the government. And to Ed and Ron King, thank you so much for joining Tom's Army. I greatly appreciate you all. Have